Hey YouTube, what's happening? It's Richard, founder of Short-Term Rental University and professional real estate developer. I wanted to go back and take a look at some predictions that I made, like right when COVID happened. Back in the darkest days, I don't remember whether this video happened in March or early April, but it was when it was the scariest, darkest, gloomiest. Lockdowns were just happening, and so many people were so incredibly nervous. Understandably, we had no idea what was happening. Nobody alive had seen anything like this on this magnitude, and certainly not global. And I wanted to do my absolute best to assure and to comfort and to hold your hand and let you know that things were going to be all right. In fact, I made all sorts of predictions, including the fact that pent-up demand when this was over, whenever it would be off the charts, and the real estate market and the short-term rental market would be the best ever, and we're actually living that now. But I filmed a video, and I want to go back and just take a look at the 6 different predictions and see sort of, what I thought when I said I thought I saw the future, and I had some opinions, and sort of grade myself and say good, bad, indifferent, kinda, maybe-ish. Let's see how I did. The very first thing I want to share with you is I believe there's going to be a even further bifurcation between the vacation rental market and the urban rental market. The very first prediction I said was that there would be a further bifurcation between the vacation rental market and the urban market, and that business travel would be hit hard, and that the urban markets would be hit hard on a go-forward basis. And I would say that I was 100% correct on that. We're seeing that right now. Business travel is not picking up. In fact, Brian Chesky, during his most recent and first earnings release, said that the type of travel that people miss is vacation, memories, experiences, all the things I've been teaching you here on the channel. Brian Chesky was like practically parroting, mimicking everything that I was saying. And he said that in fact the type of travel that people don't miss and that they're not seeing any demand, and this is also corroborated by airlines and hotels in urban areas, is business travel. With the advent of Zoom and everybody doing Zoom now, whether you're telehealth and doctor or a lawyer, there's whole cases that are being heard over Zoom. The need for business travel is not here. People didn't really like it in the past, and now that they have an alternative and an option, they're not really doing it. And so that was the very first prediction. I said that I think that vacation markets will flourish and continue to do really well. Things that are rural and drive to and so on would do very well, and that things that were in urban congested areas, not so good. So I would say on that particular, I'll give myself a good grade. Second, I continue to believe that experiences will trump discounts. The second one I said was that experiences will trump discounts. So as a host, we can do a couple of different things. We can add tremendous value, we can make things memorable, we can encourage community, we can introduce people to all the local arts and crafts and sites and restaurants and things that are in our local community. And those experiences would continue to be more important on a go-forward basis versus discounting your way to occupancy. Creating unique, memorable experiences was the future of Airbnb. That was my prediction. And I think we're starting to see that as well. Brian Chesky, in fact, in the earnings release, said the same sort of thing. So I think in that particular regard, experiences are more important than discounts. Create value, add value, create memories, create experiences, do things that are remarkable, do things that are Instagrammable. That's the way to grow your Airbnb business, not by competing on price and discounting and offer a lower rate than anyone else. That's really just a race to the bottom, and nobody wants to be at the bottom. So I think that one I was spot on as well. The third one is a variation of a theme that I've said in the past, which is that I believe that senior management at Airbnb, namely the CEO, Brian Chesky, I think it's only a matter of time that investors, primarily the equity investors and these new debt investors, say, you know what, we need somebody more senior at the helm. The third one, I predicted that Brian Chesky would not survive the COVID fiasco. I thought that the way that he handled it, and he made a lot of hosts really, really angry and upset, and I believe that there's some lawsuits still pending when he basically overrode hosts' cancellation policies and unilaterally made decisions for the platform and all hosts. And so that was a big, spectacular, negative moment in Airbnb's history. And we saw that the valuation of Airbnb dropped from about $40 billion into some rescue financing via some convertible equity notes that traded as low as $18 billion. Now, the VCs and hedge funds that participated in that, they did really well, right? They bought Airbnb at $18 billion, and then it went public not so long after, 6 months later, and it's trading at about $100 billion. So they made 5x. Now, I don't know if that's why Chesky didn't have to step out and be forced out and so on. Money talks in this sort of environment, but I was 100% wrong on that, and I have to really tip my hat to Brian Chesky. He recovered, he rebounded, he did incredibly well. He got back in the good graces of hosts. In fact, he earmarked IPO shares. I, for one, bought 200 shares at $68. Last I checked, they're trading near $200. So that's 3x. That's real money in my pocket. It's a sign of goodwill. I really appreciate it. And so I have to really commend Brian Chesky on being a much better leader than I gave him credit for. And, I was really not blaming Chesky as much as the situation and just saying it's really hard. If you watch the video, it's really hard to have such a massive drawdown. Nobody wants to take a 50% loss. So I was 100% wrong on that, and I guess we'll keep going through this. The fourth prediction is a continuation of a trend that we've seen, and that is the disruption of traditional lodging. The fourth thing that I predicted here was that hotels would struggle. They would be disrupted. Traditional lodging, big hotels, resort hotels would be disrupted, and that small mom and pop operators like me and maybe you would actually thrive through this COVID experience and thereafter. And so far, that's 100% correct. Now, that may normalize in a few years. People are creatures of habit, so there are people, believe it or not, who really like going to the 1,000-room mega resorts with 5 buffets and 16 pools and everything else. So, once they get comfortable, they're not going to find that experience at my Airbnb. But those aren't really the mass population of travelers today. The mass population of travelers today, the new traveler, the traveler going forward, is looking more for some of these things that we've talked about, like experiences and memorable and personalized and individual host hospitality and things like that you don't really get at a huge Marriott where you're generic, anonymous, and you're in room 4902 and that's it, right? So my prediction was that large hotels or hotels in general would suffer. I should say, as a boutique hotel owner, I own 3 different boutique hotels. We've actually done rather well through this entire experience because, again, people wanted something smaller and more personalized, more individualized, and not with the crowds. And I think that trend is here to stay as well. So I'm pleased to say that a lot of the hotels that are large have survived, not all of them, and not all of them in the urban areas have survived. So it's a sad day for good people, good business people that didn't do anything wrong on their own, but COVID sort of accelerated trends that I saw and I predicted, and unfortunately the hotels have struggled. The fifth prediction is one that's going to sound counter to everything that I've said and perhaps gives you pause, but I believe that the short-term rental market will slow. Another one that I predicted here was that the short-term rental market would slow down over time, and I think that is, it's the law of large numbers. As we continue to grow and there's more and more hosts on the platform, it's going to slow down. But the actual prediction was that there would be a washout of people, right? Like there was a lot of people brought into the short-term rental market for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of people making videos and Facebook groups talking about get rich quick and overnight success, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and yeah, maybe. And if they have formulas and ways to do that, then that's wonderful. I've never taught that. I believe real estate investing is a certain way to get rich with certainty, but not a get rich quick thing. All you have to look at is when you take out a mortgage, it's 30 years. So if you're taking out a 30-year investment mortgage, how are you going to get rich quick, right? It doesn't make any sense. In any event, there was a lot of people that got attracted to the short-term rental market in the wrong ways, rental arbitrage, get rich quick, overnight success, all this stuff. And when things, sort of slow down and stall and COVID hit, they got washed out. It's kind of like in the stock market. When you have people that don't really know what it is that they're doing and they think they're really wonderful traders and the stock market's going up, they think they're geniuses, they're riding the wave, and then something happens and the stock market rolls over and they quickly just exit, right? They don't have diamond hands, they don't know how to hodl. They basically just puke out their position and they exit. I predicted we'd see some of that in the short-term rental market, and in fact we did. We saw some really large operators in the rental arbitrage space like Sonder and Lyric and Stay Alfred and all these people that had raised all this VC money. So it was get rich quick and we're going to scale and we're going to do this at mass and we're going to do all this stuff. Many of them closed. Many of them had to raise more money. There was tons of layoffs and it was really unfortunate. So my prediction there about the short-term rental market was actually quite accurate. So I feel good about that. Finally, The sixth one is kind of a summary of all of this, which I think is modeled by that movie, Back to the Future. And then the sixth and final prediction that I made was that Airbnb would go back to its roots, like from where it started, and it would be more about curated experiences and host interaction, an emphasis on experience. I compared it to Etsy, which is like an artisan platform, versus Amazon, and that's completely accurate and true. Interestingly, Etsy's been on an absolute tear as a stock, a public company, so the whole world is looking for artisan, individuality, handcrafted, unique, memorable, and moving away from like generic and mass and so on. So in that particular case, that's exactly what we're seeing. The hosts that are positioned in vacation rental areas that have unique homes, whether they be tree houses or log homes or whatever, RVs, Airbnbs that are tents, yurts, like anything that's unique and memorable in the right location that you can drive to, where your individuality and your hosting experience shines through, is doing incredibly well, and the best is yet to come. We've never seen a summer like 2021. We'll never see a winter like 2021, 2022, if you're in a ski area or places that people can drive and go do some wonderful things. And I think next summer is going to be great. So I think the absolute best times to be a short-term rental host are right now. And I would say, taking a look at these 6 criteria, I nailed 5, I got 1 wrong, and overall I'd give myself, what do you think, sweetheart? Is that like a A-?
Solid A-.
A solid A-. See, I was going to say A-, but she loves me, so it's a solid A-. In any event, I would love to hear your comments below. Who watched the video when I filmed it back in March? What'd you think about the predictions then? How do you feel about them now? How do you grade my performance based on like having no more visibility than anybody else, living through it in real time, but having some forward thinking, ideas and ideology, and thinking about what COVID might mean, and pandemic, and how people react, the psychology of it? I just went out on a limb, made a video. It's there in perpetuity. We're going to be sharing more of these sort of grading and assessments, because at the end of the day, it's really important who you listen to and who you trust and who you learn from. Right? You want to learn from people who are right, not people who are wrong. You want to learn from people who are forward thinking, not people that are backward thinking. And so I just wanted to share this with you. I hope you really liked the video, and so much so that you will actually go ahead and subscribe. Click it now, get the little notification, because we're going to be making more and more videos, and I can't wait to help you grow your business even more. So thank you very much, and have a great day.